Robin's pygmies. I have to tell you that I want to tell you 10 reasons why you need to own pygmy goats. Other than the fact that they're just so simply darn cute, you gotta have them just for that reason. But yeah, I think anybody that goes to the fair and like me and just absolutely loves goats, I just love them for many reasons, but I think for the most part, the number one reason to own them is just because they're great companions to have on the farm. They're great pets. They're yeah, they're just pure entertainment. Pygmy goats are just pure entertainment. They're loyal, they're cheerful, they follow you around. They're just wonderful little animals. You can't have a bad day if you own a pygmy goat. You go into the barn and they're right there. Pygmy goats just never have a bad day, so why not? And I think the number two reason that to have them would be, well, for one, you can take their manure, and which is like little pellets, like rabbit pellets, and you can actually put it straight into your garden. I mean, we compost it on our farm because we take the shavings and then we put it in the compost, and the compost is then broke down into over a long period of time, and then you can put it in your garden. But you can actually take it straight out of their pen and put into your garden. Just like rabbits. I think rabbit is the same way. But and I think the third reason is they're like little mini therapists. I think I can have a real rough, stressful day at work and come home and go out to the goat pen, sit with these little goats, and they just look at you and they all have this perpetual smile and aura about them that they are you just can't have a bad day when you have little goats running around. They're just wonderful little mini therapists. They're awesome, perfect, love them. And you know, if you come to my farm, you won't get me to sell you a goat for meat and milk, but that would be my fourth reason. Pygmy goats are meat bred animal. They came over from Africa on a ship because they were small, compact animals, and they could fit more onto the ship, and they produce like a quart of milk a day, and they were also provided them with a lot of meat. Well, I will never eat one of my pygmy goats. And I will not sell to anybody that would eat one of my pygmy goats because they're my loving little pets. And I don't personally drink the milk, so I don't use them for milk production, but you can use them for both. So if you're into that, I guess that would be a pretty high on the list of things that you can use them for. So please don't ask me for that. And as far as being a small, compact animal, you can raise them in your own backyard. You don't have to have a large, as far as my number 5 reason, you know, you don't have to have like 10 acres to have these small ruminants. Did I say that right? ruminants. As far as livestock animals, you don't have, 10 acres. You can have 2 acres. You can have 1 acre. You can have a half an acre and just fence these little critters in. They're great. You can go out to your backyard, and although I wouldn't grow roses because they'll eat them, there are a lot of, it's not true what they say, first of all, that goats eat everything, including tin cans, but you can have goats in your backyard. All they need is a 3-sided shelter. I wouldn't advise just having a goat in your backyard per se, because they will eat your roses and probably your yard plants, because they like a lot of the things that are in your yard. They won't eat things like rhododendrons because they're poisonous to them. So just be advised. Check into what is poisonous to a goat and what isn't, because there are a lot of plants that you can have with pygmies and what you can't. And if a goat won't just eat a poisonous plant. It will eat it if it's starving, but it'll nibble on something and say, that don't taste good. So goats are pretty smart that way. Mostly it just wants hay and water. If you're showing goats, you can have some livestock and show them, which is fairly cool. I show my goats, so that's the main reasons why I have my goats. But they are plant and weed eaters, which would be my 6th reasons for owning goats. And they do eat a lot of weeds. They love dandelions. They'll go out. Love clover. Clover is such, in the springtime when the clover comes in, they get kind of pudgy. They're pudgy already, but they get really pudgy because they love the clover. They'd eat that over anything, and it's good for them. So yeah, they'll nibble on the ground, eat all that clover. Mostly they like to browse above, so they like to eat like trees and whatnot, but mostly they just eat the clover in the pasture. When the clover's gone, when it starts to dry up and stuff, then they go on to other things. But yeah, they eat a lot of plants. But again, watch out for those poisonous plants that but you can raise your goats, in a pretty urban area, which would be my 7th reason. Again, you can raise them in backyards, and you can raise them in the city. Some cities allow goats. You can have up to 2. You can have chickens as long as you don't have a rooster. So you got fresh eggs, you have, fresh milk, and people have like 2 goats, couple of chickens, and it's so cool nowadays that you can do that. And keep in mind that goats can get a little noisy. When they see you, they start crying, bah, bah. And I've had friends that do that, and they say, oh my gosh, every time I go to the window, my goats are like, bah, and they sound like you're killing a kid or something. And that's only because they want your attention. And so they can get a little noisy. So just keep that in mind. But a lot of people in urban areas are now getting goats, pygmy goats, small goats. So, and sometimes you just have them as pets, but other times you want them. Mostly people go for, the milk factor, or just fun, playful pet animals. And again, I can say you can. Another thing to think about too is if you like to knit or crochet, which is my 8th reason for owning pygmy goats, is they shed in the springtime, and they grow this like undercoat underneath, and they get this wool, and it's so cool because in this, every spring you can either brush it, you know, like brush the undercoat out, and if you keep them clean, which I would suggest you, if you keep them really, really clean, you can brush this undercoat out and you have this lush, beautiful fiber. And we have these big brushes that came off of those street sweepers. And these street sweepers, and they go rub themselves, scratch themselves on these street sweepers, and their fur coat comes off. Or you could put up like brushes, like off of push brooms in their pens or whatnot, and they rub up against them and it brushes them automatically, which is really cool. And that helps a lot of people do that. But yeah, you can brush that rich, lush wool fiber off them, and it's like cashmere, you know, it's so nice. And you can string that out and clean it and use it for knitting, which is really, really awesome, and it's wonderful stuff. And they do that every year, and you get quite a bit of it. It's really nice. You can hear my babies crying in the background. So, yep, and my number 9 reason is we have boys when they're born. We either castrate them and make wethers. That's what they call castrated males, as a wether, and they are strong. And they're a little bit larger than the females, which we call does. So a lot of people use those for backpacking, and they use them and they make these like backpacks for goats, and they're just really killer. They have like panniers that go on the side of them, and I wish I had that with me right now. I'd show you, but I could probably go get it and look at it real quick. But you put them on these, they make pack animals just like donkeys, and they put these pack animals, make them pack animals and take them up, and they can go anywhere. A goat can go anywhere that you can go. Believe me, they can climb cliffs, and you know, that's what their hooves were made for. They're, you know, climbing up the side of a mountain. So I mean, and they're pretty rugged. They're pretty awesome. They can pull carts. So wethers are pretty versatile. Yeah, they're pretty cool. So yep. And the 10th reason is they're easy to keep on your farm. They are so easy to keep around. All they require is some nutritional hay and clean water. I mean, you keep their pens dry, shelter. How hard is that? And they're not expensive to keep either. I mean, they're cheaper than keeping a dog. And I mean, for those 10 reasons right there, why wouldn't you want to own a pygmy goat? I mean, come on. They are fantastic animals to have on your farm or your backyard. Or I just can't think of a reason not to own a pygmy goat. And they're super, super fun, playful critters. They're just amazing. And my number 1 reason is because they're little mini therapists. I keep going back to that because they're fun. And obviously I like them because I have about 25 of them. Because they're just kind of like potato chips. You just can't have one. And remember, you must have at least 2 because they're herd animals. So with that, thank you very much for watching. And don't forget to hit subscribe to my channel. Okay, love you. Bye.